Okay, so this is the advanced video, okay? This is something that I want you to come back to this after the MPA course as well, because I need you to rewatch these videos as you get more and more pieces together. Okay, so promise me you're gonna do this. You gotta promise me you're gonna do this, because otherwise it's only gonna cause confusion, okay? Okay, now there is a critical moment. If you read it incorrectly, it will change your entire bias of what you're trying to do. So for example, let's assume you didn't see the market on the left and all you see is this phase here. Okay? Alright, that's all we see, for example. Now, if that's all we see the markets breaching, what looks like this area, and he goes up. Well, who's responsible? Mr. Dude here. This guy's responsible because he's the guy who was able to steamroll through. Not anyone else before. They're all bouncing and bouncing. So the last one steamroll through. Now, so the breach line and your dotted line, something like that. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact. It's okay. He goes up to here, and this is the highest point he reaches. Now, from this highest point, it's like, oh my God, is that a breach? No. No, that's not a breach. It's a slight poke out. And that does not count, which means normally I follow a breach by plotting a line above and above and above as I go, but this time the line does not get plotted because it never breached above. If you read this as a breach, then what's going to happen is, who started it? You're going to be like, well, that guy started it. And then the moment the red candles come in, you're going to think, oh, well, it's a seller's market then, which means the sell's not going to work. If it's read wrong, it won't work. Okay? If it's read wrong. So in this situation, you need to look at this very carefully and be like, how did the next high happen? Was it a probe? Okay? Was it a probe with me? Did it just go up, fake, and come back in? And if it is, how do we know what to do with it? So this particular case, it was a probe, which means the line that's supposed to be there gets removed and it stays in the past. Okay, it stays just one before. You cannot keep doing this. You can only do this one time. Okay, only one time. So let's take a look at the next thing. Okay, let me show you here. What about this right here? What if we say, okay, so Naveen, then is this the line here then? Would that be a breach? Because that one comes back in also. Like, no, that's a breach because it holds. Look at that hold there. It holds up there. That means there's something important about this price. Who started this? This guy. So while people are looking at this as, oh my God, this SNR is not working, and they start to turn sellers from here, you're like, bingo, he's still in my buyer's area. Okay? And that's the money-making spot. Okay? So you want to keep track of these probe areas very, very carefully. Now I shrunk it a little bit. Let me make it bigger again. Okay, so let me show you another area here. Let's say this area here. Lowest point, nothing, 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 breach. He breached down to the bottom. Who started it? Seems like this guy here. There's the highest point and he just came slamming down. Okay, he's responsible. Even if you draw it like he's responsible. Fair enough, whichever one. And then you draw your dotted line across. This coming down very sharply and going up very sharply is going to make people think, oh my God, that's just a tail. That's just an exhaustion candle. Turn buyer. You stick to your territory that says that was a breach. That's a sell, man. We haven't gone above. That's still a sell. Now, we might say, where do we put our next line? Is this going to be the next breach, or is it going to be here? Okay, the answer is it's going to be on this one. Okay, that's why we call this more advanced, because this thing, this sharp down and sharp up, almost is like it never happened. But that we do count that power for the breach. Something broke it. Something broke it. Okay, it came back very hard, but that's okay. He's maintaining positions. Let's take a look at this one here. Okay. When we say here's the area for the breach, for example, this one, breach, he started it because he's the guy who went straight through that area that was holding. Then here's the next lowest point. It's holding drop. So that's the next breach. Okay. If I make it easier, I can just take the last line, bring it down. And who started it? Take this last circle. He started it. Okay. This is all seller's territory. Now he's coming up again, and the next breach is supposed to be below this guy, which never happens. He bounces off this area, which is still your sell. It's still your sell, and as it comes back down, and once this is broken to the top, and that gets broken, like the guy who started it gets breached, then you have a change in direction and the change in territory to read it in the other way. Okay, so now here's an interesting part. Okay, this has a lot to do with the universe above and below. Okay, at times you might see me doing something like this. Let me see if I can find you an example here. Here's a nice example. Oh no, sorry. Come on. Let me see if I can find one. Cause I'm trying to find the tricky one. Because the tricky one is the most interesting ones. And that's actually where the money is. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second here. I'm trying to find a very clear one. There's a bunch of them in here, but I don't think it's the right time to explain it. I'm finding a unusual one. Okay. Here's another one. Here we go. This is a simple one. Seller's area. Who started it? This fella here. Dotted line across. These are all probes on top, which means it's still in sell zone. Here's the lowest point. As long as we haven't gone above this fella and we haven't gone below this fella, everything stays the same, which means sell. Didn't come lower than this. Okay, well, sell and breach. Okay, and we have a breach. Who started this movement? Well, this fella right here. Seller's territory. Okay. So you want to be very careful with these buyers and seller areas. I'm still trying to look for that perfect example to show you guys because it will show up, although I'm looking for it and it's not showing up as easy as I thought it would. Give me a moment. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is at times you will notice that there's going to be a breach like this. Okay, so let's say this is the breach to the upside finally. Okay, it breaches to the upside. Here's your highest point. Here's the guy who started it, right? And then finally you have that highest point getting broken. Okay, now if the highest point gets broken, but then it's just a probe. He goes up and he comes back. It's just a probe. Like it's fast. Then what happens is you cannot leave your line there. You must come back to your original destination. Okay? And back to your original guy who did the starting. And that happens to be still your buy zone. And you don't revert into a sell zone. This happens because if you go to one time frame higher for stuff like this, you're actually doing it as if it's the normal breach. Let me see if I can find it here. No, it's not here as well. Okay, I'm gonna leave this video still the way it is because I'm gonna find more examples for you guys for something like this, because this happens quite a bit. Here we go. So buyers are going up, reaches this highest point. Reaches this highest point, looking for a breach. Here we have a breach. Okay, so here we have a breach, goes higher, but then it comes collapsing right down. So it's like, what happened to my breach? There's nothing, there's no higher high. It's all fake. So then I have to move it back to my previous guy. Well, there was no previous guy. We didn't break anything previously. Well, if we didn't break anything previously, then we cannot turn buyer. This is still seller's market, which means where's the last seller's market? Here's the last breach there. Who started it? That fella's the guy who started it right here. See? This highest point, and he came crashing down. You extend that across. These are all cell zones here. And you'll see the cell is so powerful. But the reason why it's powerful is because it's unknown for people. People are looking at this like, well, SNR broke, it's a buy. Oh, higher lows, it's a buy. Oh, higher lows, it's a buy. Without knowing that they're coming into a trap. They're coming into a trap. This trap squeezes them in for a situation to get prepared for a sell. Okay, and it's still a sell until that area is finally broken, and you can see the area finally gets broken here. Now we turn in buyer's market. So once that guy who started it gets broken, here's buyer's market, and you reload the whole thing, and you're like, okay, so as a buyer's market, we were going up from this area, we stopped there for a moment, we broke that, we breached it, we made a higher high. So this is your psychological line. Who started this breach? That fella right there. That's the guy who started, not the guy before, because when he went up, he bounced. It's this guy right here, because he went straight through. So as he went straight through, even though your SNR gets broken, it's still in the buy zone. Okay, but it's you only turn buyer after this humongous move up went happening. Otherwise, you are still in the seller market from this area. Still in sells. And all these are nothing but probes. They're not real. They're just fakers. And the stronger and more aggressive the probes, the better your trades are gonna be. The better your trades are gonna be, because more people are actually trying to get rid of their positions or buy up positions, thinking that it's the way that they're thinking. Markets are going that way. They're participating. Okay. All right, so I hope this was helpful. This is the end of the core basics course. It was I've made some very long videos for you guys, but going forward, as you're going into the MPA, or if you've already done it, I hope this is gonna really give you aha moments. And as you go through the MPA course again, or for the very first time, you're gonna be like, I know exactly what Naveen's doing. I understand why he's drawing a line where he's doing it, and why he's putting circles where he's putting circles, saying that's the guy who started it. And this is the core concepts of it. Okay, of course, if there's any confusion at any point at a time or anywhere, there's the comment section below the videos. Always ask questions if you're confused. Until next time, cheers.